What if I told you there's a grain so powerful it can help stabilize your blood sugar, protect your heart, kidneys, and eyes, even support nerve healing, and still leave you feeling full and satisfied? Sounds like a superfood, right? But it's not some rare, exotic ingredient. It's something you probably walked right past in the grocery store without a second thought. Here's the twist. Most people have no idea how incredibly good it is for managing diabetes. In this video, we're revealing the top 10 grains every diabetic should know about. Grains that don't just taste great, but actually help you take control of your blood sugar. And trust me, you'll want to stick around till the very end. Because the last one, it's not what you're expecting, and it might just become your secret weapon. First on list, steel-cut oats. Let's talk about one of the absolute staples in a diabetic-friendly kitchen, steel-cut oats. These hearty grains, which come from the Avena sativa plant, are a true blood sugar superstar when it comes to breakfast or even savory dishes. Unlike instant or rolled oats, steel-cut oats are the least processed form, meaning they're digested more slowly and have a glycemic index of around 52. That's a solid low to moderate score, and it means they won't send your blood sugar on a roller coaster ride. Plus, their glycemic load is around 13 per serving, still considered moderate, especially when eaten with fiber or protein-rich foods. Now, what's really inside a bowl of these? 1 cup of cooked steel-cut oats has about 150 calories, 27 grams of carbs, 4 grams of fiber, and 5 grams of protein. That fiber makes up nearly 14% of your daily fiber needs, and it includes a type called beta-glucan, which is known to reduce the absorption of sugar and cholesterol in the gut. You'll also get around 15% of your daily iron, 20% of your magnesium, and a solid dose of zinc, phosphorus, and vitamin B1, nutrients that support everything from nerve function to blood vessel health. Not to mention avenanthramides, unique antioxidants found in oats that help lower inflammation and protect blood vessels. For diabetics, this grain is working on multiple fronts. The magnesium alone may help improve insulin sensitivity by up to 10 to 15%, and the fiber content helps reduce post-meal blood sugar spikes by up to 30% when oats are paired with protein or healthy fats. These steady glucose levels can also help protect the kidneys, eyes, and nerves, especially from long-term damage caused by oxidative stress and inflammation. Plus, oats support gut health by feeding beneficial bacteria, which plays a quiet but important role in metabolic balance. A smart portion is about 1/4 cup dry oats, which cooks into about 1 cup, or roughly 6 ounces, 170 grams, of cooked steel-cut oats. That's the sweet spot where you get the benefits without overdoing the carbs. You can make it sweet or savory. Try simmering oats in unsweetened almond milk, then topping with cinnamon, berries, and walnuts, or go savory with spinach, avocado, and a poached egg. This versatility makes them a perfect go-to grain. Of course, portion control still matters. Just because oats are a healthier carb doesn't mean you can eat as much as you want. Stick to that 6-ounce cooked portion, especially if you're managing blood sugar levels tightly. Also, if you're gluten sensitive or have celiac disease, be sure to use oats labeled gluten-free, since cross-contamination during processing can be a risk. And here's something most people get totally wrong. Grains raise your blood sugar, so avoid them altogether. That might be true for white bread or sugary cereals, but not for steel-cut oats. When eaten in the right portion and paired wisely, they can actually help lower blood sugar, reduce cholesterol, and keep your energy stable. So yes, your morning oats aren't just safe, they're one of the smartest grains you can include in a diabetic-friendly lifestyle. Oats are solid, but what if I told you the next grain is also packed with protein, gluten-free, and contains all 9 essential amino acids? It's tiny, but trust me, it hits huge. Second on list, quinoa. Let's talk about one of the most popular ancient grains that's earned a permanent spot in healthy kitchens everywhere, quinoa. Known scientifically as Chenopodium quinoa, this tiny seed that acts like a grain is a total powerhouse, especially for people living with diabetes. With a glycemic index of around 53 and a glycemic load of just 13 per cup, quinoa delivers slow, steady energy without those sharp blood sugar spikes. That makes it an ideal grain for anyone trying to keep their glucose levels balanced while still enjoying a hearty, satisfying meal. 1 cup of cooked quinoa gives you about 222 calories, 39 grams of carbs, 5 grams of fiber, and a generous 8 grams of protein. And here's the kicker. It's one of the few plant-based sources of complete protein, meaning it contains all 9 essential amino acids. That's a huge bonus for anyone on a plant-forward or vegetarian diet. The fiber alone provides about 20% of your daily need, and it's a mix of soluble and insoluble fiber, which helps not only with blood sugar control, but also with digestion and gut health. You also get 30% of your daily magnesium, a good hit of iron, potassium, and anti-inflammatory antioxidants like quercetin and camphorol that help calm chronic inflammation, the kind that leads to nerve damage, kidney strain, and even diabetic eye complications. For people with diabetes, quinoa does a lot of behind-the-scenes support. It helps keep blood sugar levels stable, feeds beneficial gut bacteria, supports heart health with its healthy fat profile, and even promotes wound healing thanks to its zinc and protein content. That's a pretty long list of wins from a grain that cooks in just 15 minutes. A smart serving size is about 1/2 cup cooked, which is around 4 ounces or 120 grams. That's plenty to give you the fiber and protein benefits without going overboard on carbs. You can toss quinoa into salads, serve it warm in grain bowls, or stir it into soups for extra texture and nutrition. It works beautifully with roasted vegetables, lemon, herbs, or even scrambled eggs for a savory breakfast twist. You can also use it instead of rice or pasta in pretty much any dish you already love. There are a few things to be aware of. While quinoa is naturally gluten-free, it contains saponines, a natural compound that can cause digestive discomfort for some people. But that's easily solved by rinsing the quinoa under cold water before cooking. Portion control is still important too. It's nutrient-dense, yes, but it still contains carbs. So balance is key, especially if you're pairing it with other carbs in your meal. And here's something a lot of people get wrong. They think all carbs are bad for diabetics, even whole grains like quinoa. But the truth is, not all carbs are created equal. Quinoa is packed with fiber, protein, and nutrients that actually help regulate blood sugar. So when people say grains are off the table for diabetes, quinoa proudly proves them wrong. Quinoa is impressive, no doubt. But the grain coming up next has a glycemic index so low, it almost breaks the scale. And hardly anyone is talking about it. Let's fix that. Third on list, barley. Let's dive into a grain that doesn't get nearly enough credit. Barley. Specifically, we're talking about hulled barley, not the more processed pearled version. Hulled barley comes from the plant Hordeum vulgar, and it's been fueling bodies for thousands of years. What makes it so special for people with diabetes is its incredibly low glycemic index, around 28. That's one of the lowest among all grains. Its glycemic load per cup of cooked barley sits around 11, which means it releases sugar into your bloodstream slowly, helping to keep glucose levels steady long after you've eaten. A single cup of cooked hulled barley gives you about 193 calories, 44 grams of carbs, 6 grams of fiber, and 4 grams of protein. That fiber content makes up nearly 24% of your daily needs, and most of it is soluble fiber, especially beta-glucan, the same blood sugar-friendly fiber found in oats. It also contains selenium, magnesium, zinc, iron, and B-complex vitamins. But what really sets barley apart are its antioxidants, like lignans and phenolic acids, which help reduce chronic inflammation that contributes to diabetic complications like neuropathy, kidney strain, and even slow wound healing. Barley supports more than just blood sugar. That beta-glucan fiber helps lower LDL cholesterol, improves gut health by feeding good bacteria, and supports cardiovascular health by reducing arterial stiffness. The magnesium it contains can improve insulin sensitivity by up to 10%, and its anti-inflammatory properties help protect nerves and small blood vessels, especially in the eyes and kidneys, which are vulnerable to long-term high glucose levels. A diabetic-friendly serving is around 1/2 cup cooked barley, which equals about 4 ounces or 120 grams. It's chewy, nutty, and incredibly versatile. You can use it in soups, grain bowls, or even as a base for a warm breakfast with cinnamon and unsweetened almond milk. Mix it with lentils and herbs for a fiber-rich lunch, or combine it with roasted vegetables and olive oil for a hearty side dish that's as filling as it is blood sugar friendly. Now here's something to watch out for. Barley contains gluten, so it's not safe for people with celiac disease or gluten sensitivity. Also, it's important not to confuse hulled barley with pearled barley. Pearled barley has had its bran layer removed, which also removes a good chunk of its fiber and nutrients. If you're buying barley for blood sugar control, go for hulled barley. It's a little chewier and takes longer to cook, but your body will thank you. And let's bust a myth while we're here. Some folks think that because barley is high in carbs, it's off limits for diabetics. But that's simply not true. The quality of those carbs matters more than the quantity. Barley's high fiber content, especially soluble fiber, helps slow down digestion and reduce blood sugar spikes. So no, barley isn't the enemy. It's actually one of the best grains you can add to your diabetes toolkit. Now I want to hear from you. Where in the world are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. I love seeing how far the diabetes healthcare community reaches. Fourth on list, Bulgur. Let's talk about a grain that's quick cooking, nutrient-packed, and surprisingly kind to your blood sugar. Bulgur, also known as cracked wheat. It comes from the whole wheat grain, specifically Triticum durum, that's been parboiled, dried, and then cracked into smaller pieces. The result is a fluffy, nutty grain that's ready in minutes and brings a lot more to the table than just taste. For people with diabetes, Bulgur is a smart choice. Its glycemic index is around 48, and its glycemic load per cup cooked is about 12, which means it won't cause those sudden spikes or crashes in blood sugar. Now, if you look at the nutrition in just 1 cup of cooked Bulgur, you'll find about 150 calories, 33 grams of carbs, 8 grams of fiber, and 5.5 grams of protein. That fiber, it covers over 30% of your daily needs, which is fantastic news for blood sugar control because fiber helps slow digestion and allows glucose to enter the bloodstream more gradually. Bulgur also delivers key minerals like manganese, magnesium, iron, and phosphorus. These are important for everything from blood pressure regulation to insulin function, and the iron helps keep your red blood cells healthy, which is crucial if you're also dealing with fatigue, a common issue in people managing diabetes. Bulgur supports your body on several levels. It helps balance blood sugar, reduces LDL cholesterol, and feeds your gut's beneficial bacteria, which has a direct effect on inflammation and even insulin sensitivity. The magnesium and fiber combo may improve insulin action by up to 15%, and the anti-inflammatory effects of whole wheat compounds can protect your nerves, blood vessels, and kidneys from long-term complications. Better gut health can also support faster wound healing and reduce the risk of infections, something people with diabetes need to stay on top of. The ideal serving for a diabetic-friendly diet is about 1/2 cup cooked, or around 4 ounces or 120 grams. And because it's so quick to prepare, Bulgur makes a great weeknight staple. Toss it into a Mediterranean salad with cucumbers, tomatoes, parsley, and olive oil, or mix it into soups and stews for an extra fiber boost. It even works well as a replacement for rice or pasta, especially when you want something more blood sugar friendly. You can also use it in stuffed vegetables or grain bowls with grilled chicken or chickpeas for a hearty, balanced meal. There are a couple of things to keep in mind. Bulgur is made from wheat, so it does contain gluten. That means it's off limits for anyone with celiac disease or gluten intolerance. And like all grains, even healthy ones, portion control still matters. Overeating Bulgur, especially when paired with other starchy foods, can still push blood sugar levels higher than you want. And here's a myth that needs to go. Quick cooking grains are bad for diabetics. That might be true for white rice or instant mashed potatoes, but Bulgur is a totally different story. Even though it cooks fast, it's still a whole grain loaded with fiber and nutrients. So yes, it's fast, but it's also smart. If you're looking for a grain that fits both your lifestyle and your blood sugar goals, Bulgur might just become your new go-to. Bulgur makes meal prep a breeze. But here's a twist. The next grain is one diabetic are often told to avoid. But is that really true? The answer might surprise you. Fifth on list, brown rice. Let's talk about one of the most familiar and comforting grains around, brown rice. It comes from the Oryza sativa plant, and unlike white rice, It's kept whole, with its bran and germ layers intact. That's where most of the fiber, nutrients, and antioxidants live. And for people managing diabetes, this small change makes a big difference. Brown rice has a glycemic index of around 55 and a glycemic load of roughly 18 per cup. That puts it in the moderate range, but when eaten in the right portion and paired with the right foods, it can absolutely work for blood sugar control. In 1 cup of cooked brown rice, you're looking at about 216 calories, 45 grams of carbs, 3.5 grams of fiber, and 5 grams of protein. That fiber alone covers about 14% of your daily needs, helping to slow down how quickly sugar enters your bloodstream. But there's more to it than just fiber. Brown rice also contains magnesium, selenium, manganese, and a modest amount of B vitamins. Magnesium is especially important. It plays a key role in insulin function, and studies have shown that higher magnesium intake may lower the risk of type 2 diabetes by up to 15 to 20%. You also get antioxidants like phenolic compounds, which help protect your cells from the damage that high blood sugar can cause over time. For diabetics, brown rice supports your body in a few different ways. It helps with blood sugar stability, supports gut health thanks to its resistant starch, and contributes to heart health by lowering inflammation and improving lipid profiles. It may even play a role in reducing the risk of diabetic neuropathy and retinopathy, thanks to its anti-inflammatory and vascular supporting nutrients. Plus, its steady energy release makes it ideal for people trying to avoid the highs and crashes that come with more refined carbs. The sweet spot for serving size is about 1/2 cup cooked, which is around 4 ounces or 120 grams. That's just enough to enjoy its benefits without overloading on carbs. The key is what you pair it with. Combine it with high-fiber vegetables, lean proteins, or healthy fats. For example, make a stir-fry with tofu, bell peppers, and bok choy, or create a grain bowl with grilled salmon, avocado, and steamed broccoli. Add herbs and spices instead of sauces high in sugar or sodium, and you've got a delicious, balanced meal that works with your blood sugar, not against it. There are a couple of things to be mindful of. Brown rice does contain a compound called phytic acid, which can reduce the absorption of certain minerals like zinc and iron if it's eaten in large amounts over time. And while it's naturally gluten-free, cross-contamination in processing facilities can sometimes be an issue. So choose certified gluten-free if you're sensitive. Also, portion control is a must. Brown rice is healthier than white rice, but it's still a carb-heavy grain, and too much can raise your glucose levels. And here's a myth that needs to go. Rice is off limits for diabetics. That's just not true. The problem isn't rice, it's the type and the amount. Brown rice, when enjoyed in smart portions and paired with the right foods, can actually improve metabolic health. It's not about restriction, it's about intention. And brown rice, with its rich texture and nourishing benefits, fits perfectly into a thoughtful, blood sugar-friendly lifestyle. Brown rice gets a bad rap, but up next is a grain that's not even a grain, and yet it may protect your blood vessels, balance your gut, and calm inflammation at the source. Sixth on the list, buckwheat. Let's shine the spotlight on a grain that isn't technically a grain at all, buckwheat. This powerful little seed comes from the Fagopyrum esculentum plant, and despite its name, it's completely unrelated to wheat. That means it's naturally gluten-free, which is a big win for anyone with gluten sensitivities or celiac disease. But here's what really makes buckwheat stand out for people with diabetes. It has a glycemic index of about 49 and a glycemic load of around 13 per cup cooked. That puts it in the low to moderate range, making it a smart carb that digests slowly and helps keep blood sugar levels in check. In just 1 cup of cooked buckwheat, you'll get around 155 calories, 33 grams of carbs, 4.5 grams of fiber, and nearly 6 grams of protein. That fiber covers about 16% of your daily needs, and the combination of protein and resistant starch in buckwheat helps slow digestion, making glucose enter your bloodstream more gradually. It's also a fantastic source of magnesium, about 21% of your daily intake in 1 cup, which supports insulin sensitivity and blood pressure. But one of the real stars here is rutin, a powerful antioxidant found almost exclusively in buckwheat. Rutin helps strengthen blood vessels, reduce inflammation, and may even protect against damage in the eyes and kidneys, two areas that are especially vulnerable in people with long-term diabetes. The health benefits don't stop there. Buckwheat supports the gut microbiome by acting as a prebiotic, feeding beneficial bacteria that influence everything from immune response to blood sugar balance. It also contributes to heart health by helping lower LDL cholesterol and reducing oxidative stress, which in turn helps protect nerves and capillaries from damage. And because it's anti-inflammatory, it can play a role in reducing the risk of diabetic complications like neuropathy and slow wound healing. A good serving size is about 1/2 cup cooked, which equals roughly 4 ounces or 120 grams. That's just enough to give your body what it needs without going overboard on carbs. Buckwheat is incredibly versatile in the kitchen. You can use it to make a savory breakfast bowl with eggs and avocado, or a warm salad tossed with roasted veggies and olive oil. Cook it with garlic and herbs as a rice alternative, or even blend the flour into pancake or crepe batter for a higher fiber, blood sugar-friendly twist. That said, there are a few things to keep in mind. Even though it's gluten-free and generally safe, some people may be allergic to buckwheat, especially if they have other seed or nut allergies. Also, like other high-fiber foods, it's best to introduce it slowly into your diet to avoid bloating or digestive discomfort. And here's something worth clearing up. Just because it's called buckwheat doesn't mean it's bad for diabetics or high in sugar. In fact, it's the complete opposite. Buckwheat has nothing to do with wheat, and when it comes to blood sugar support, it's one of the most underrated foods out there. So if you're looking for a hearty, nutrient-dense grain alternative that works with your body, buckwheat is definitely one to keep in your diabetic-friendly toolbox. Seventh on list, farro. Let's talk about one of the oldest grains in the world that's quietly making a big comeback in modern health-conscious kitchens. Farro. This ancient wheat grain, scientifically known as Triticum dacacum, has been nourishing people for thousands of years, and it turns out it has a lot to offer, especially for people managing diabetes. Farro has a glycemic index that ranges between 45 and 50, depending on how it's cooked, and a glycemic load of around 13 per 1 cup serving. That's a pretty solid score for a hearty grain, making it a reliable choice for steady energy and stable blood sugar. In 1 cup of cooked farro, you're getting about 200 calories, 40 grams of carbs, 5 grams of fiber, and 7 grams of protein. That fiber covers roughly 18% of your daily needs, and it's the type that helps slow digestion and keeps glucose from entering your bloodstream too quickly. The protein content is also higher than in many other grains, which helps you feel full longer and supports better blood sugar balance. Farro is rich in magnesium, zinc, iron, B vitamins, especially niacin and B6, and antioxidants like polyphenols and carotenoids, which help fight inflammation and protect cells from oxidative stress. The benefits of farro go beyond just blood sugar. Its mix of fiber, antioxidants, and micronutrients supports heart health by lowering bad cholesterol and reducing inflammation in blood vessels. That's a big deal considering people with diabetes are at a much higher risk for cardiovascular disease. The magnesium in farro also supports nerve function and helps improve insulin sensitivity by up to 10%, while zinc and B vitamins aid in wound healing and eye protection, areas where people with diabetes often face complications. Farro also contains resistant starch, which feeds beneficial gut bacteria and improves gut health, another underrated but important factor in overall glucose control. A diabetic-friendly serving size is about 1/2 cup cooked, which comes out to around 4 ounces or 120 grams. That's enough to enjoy the flavor and the benefits without overloading on carbs. Farro has a chewy texture and a nutty flavor that pairs beautifully with roasted vegetables, leafy greens, lean meats, or legumes. You can toss it into soups, use it as a base for grain bowls, or mix it with olive oil, lemon juice, and herbs for a fiber-rich salad that holds up well for days. It's also delicious warm or cold, which makes it a great meal prep option. There are a couple of things to be mindful of. Farro does contain gluten, so it's not safe for those with celiac disease or gluten sensitivity. It also contains phytic acid, which can slightly inhibit the absorption of certain minerals. though this isn't a major concern for most people who eat a balanced diet. And just like with any grain, portion control is key. Even healthy grains can raise your blood sugar if eaten in large quantities. So stick to that half-cup serving and balance it with fiber, protein, or healthy fats. And here's a myth worth busting. Old world grains like farro are too heavy or starchy for people with diabetes. Not even close. Farro may be ancient, but its nutrition profile is perfect for the modern diabetic lifestyle. It's loaded with the kind of slow-burning carbs, plant-based protein, and gut-loving fiber that help keep your blood sugar right where you want it. So if you're ready to switch up your grain game and want something that's both hearty and healthy, farro is a fantastic grain to keep on your radar. 8 on list millet. Let's talk about one of the most underrated grains that's finally starting to get the credit it deserves. Millet. This ancient grain, which comes from the Panicum miliaceum plant, is naturally gluten-free, easy to digest, and packed with benefits that make it a great option for people managing diabetes. Millet has a glycemic index that usually falls around 52, and its glycemic load per 1 cup cooked serving is about 13, which puts it in the low to moderate range, especially when paired with fiber or protein-rich foods. It digests slowly, supports steady energy, and helps keep your blood sugar from spiking. In a single cup of cooked millet, you'll get around 207 calories, 41 grams of carbs, 2.2 grams of fiber, and about 6 grams of protein. While the fiber isn't sky high, the type of fiber it contains is effective at slowing carbohydrate absorption. That fiber, combined with the protein, gives millet a blood sugar-friendly profile. Millet also contains important nutrients like magnesium, phosphorus, iron, and B-complex vitamins. And one of the things that really makes millet stand out is its antioxidant content, including ferulic acid and catechins, which help fight inflammation and oxidative stress, two major contributors to diabetic complications like nerve damage and kidney issues. Millet is a multitasker in the diabetic world. The magnesium alone supports insulin sensitivity and blood pressure, and some studies even suggest millet-based meals may help reduce fasting blood glucose and HbA1c levels over time. Its antioxidant compounds help protect the eyes and kidneys, and its anti-inflammatory properties may reduce the risk of neuropathy and support wound healing. And because it's so gentle on digestion, millet is also kind to your gut, feeding beneficial bacteria and promoting a healthier microbiome, something that's increasingly linked to blood sugar control. A healthy serving size is about 1/2 cup cooked, or approximately 4 ounces or 120 grams. That's the perfect balance, enough to get all the benefits without overwhelming your carb intake. Millet has a slightly nutty, mild flavor and works beautifully in both sweet and savory dishes. Use it like you would rice, stir it into vegetable soups, or cook it with spices and herbs for a comforting side dish. You can also blend cooked millet into veggie patties, or use it as a base for breakfast bowls topped with cinnamon, berries, and a splash of almond milk. Of course, there are a few things to keep in mind. Millet is naturally gluten-free, but just like any carb-containing grain, it still needs portion control. And because millet does contain goitrogens, compounds that may interfere with thyroid function in very high amounts, it's something to moderate, especially if you already have thyroid issues. That said, for most people, especially when eaten as part of a varied diet, millet is completely safe and highly beneficial. Now here's a myth that needs to be cleared up. Some people think that because millet isn't commonly eaten in Western diets, it must be exotic or hard to cook. But the truth is, millet is just as easy to make as rice or quinoa. And nutritionally, it stands shoulder to shoulder with the best grains out there. So if you're looking for a warm, comforting grain that supports blood sugar balance, gut health, and your long-term diabetic goals, millet might just become your new go-to. 9th on list, amaranth. Let's talk about one of the tiniest grains with one of the biggest nutritional profiles. Amaranth. This ancient seed, technically a pseudo-grain, comes from the Amaranthus genus and has been nourishing cultures for thousands of years. And now it's showing up as a game changer for people with diabetes. With a glycemic index around 40 and a glycemic load of about 11 per cooked cup, amaranth sits comfortably in the low range, meaning it provides slow, steady energy without causing sharp spikes in blood sugar. It's small in size, but massive in what it can do for your health. In 1 cup of cooked amaranth, you get around 250 calories, 46 grams of carbs, about 5 grams of fiber, and an impressive 9 grams of protein. That's nearly 20% of your daily fiber and close to 18% of your daily protein needs, which helps with satiety, slows digestion, and promotes more balanced blood sugar. But what really sets amaranth apart is its unique mix of nutrients. It's rich in calcium, magnesium, iron, and phosphorus, and it contains powerful antioxidants like polyphenols and flavonoids, which help reduce chronic inflammation, a major driver behind diabetic complications like nerve damage, kidney strain, and eye issues. Amaranth is particularly good for people with diabetes because it supports blood vessel health, lowers LDL cholesterol, and helps reduce oxidative stress at the cellular level. Its high magnesium content can support insulin sensitivity by up to 10%, and its anti-inflammatory effects have been linked to better wound healing and reduced risk of neuropathy. It's also gentle on the digestive system and may support a healthy gut microbiome, which plays a growing role in overall glucose control and metabolic health. The ideal serving size for amaranth is about 1/2 cup cooked, which comes out to around 4 ounces or 120 grams. That gives you plenty of nutrition without overwhelming your carb intake. Amaranth has a slightly nutty, earthy flavor and a texture somewhere between quinoa and polenta, which makes it super versatile. You can enjoy it as a warm breakfast bowl with cinnamon, chia seeds, and a few berries, or use it in savory dishes like pilafs, soups, and veggie patties. It can even be popped like popcorn and sprinkled on salads or yogurt for a satisfying crunch. Now, while amaranth is naturally gluten-free, it does contain a decent amount of oxalates, which can be an issue for people prone to kidney stones. Also, like many plant foods, it has some phytic acid that may slightly block the absorption of minerals, but soaking or cooking it properly reduces that concern. And like any grain, portion control matters. Just because it's healthy doesn't mean it should take up half your plate. Balance is always key. And here's a myth worth clearing up. People often assume that less common grains like amaranth must be hard to cook, expensive, or irrelevant to modern diets. But in reality, amaranth cooks in about 20 minutes and can easily be swapped into recipes where you'd usually use rice, couscous, or even oatmeal. It's nutrient-dense, blood sugar-friendly, and surprisingly satisfying. So if you're looking to rotate in a new grain that truly pulls its weight in the diabetes department, amaranth might just be your next pantry staple. Amaranth sets the bar high, but now we've saved the wildest one for last. It's bold, it's beautiful, and it's not even technically rice. But its benefits? They're next level. 10th on list, wild rice. Let's wrap things up with a grain that's wild by name but incredibly smart for blood sugar control. Wild rice. Even though it looks and cooks like rice, it actually comes from aquatic grasses of the genus Zizania, not from the same plant as white or brown rice. And for people living with diabetes, wild rice is a total gem. It has a glycemic index of around 45 and a glycemic load of just 10 per cup cooked, making it one of the most blood sugar-friendly grains you can put on your plate. It's hearty, earthy, and packed with fiber and protein that help keep your glucose levels in a calm, steady place. In just 1 cup of cooked wild rice, you're getting about 166 calories, 35 grams of carbs, 3 grams of fiber, and a surprising 7 grams of protein. That fiber takes care of about 12% of your daily needs, while the protein content helps increase satiety and slow down digestion. But the real beauty of wild rice is in its nutrient density. It's rich in zinc, magnesium, phosphorus, and folate, plus antioxidants like anthocyanins, yes, the same compounds found in blueberries, that help reduce inflammation and oxidative stress. For someone managing diabetes, that means real protection for your nerves, kidneys, eyes, and blood vessels over the long term. Wild rice supports your body in so many ways. It can help lower bad cholesterol, improve insulin sensitivity, and keep your digestive system running smoothly. Thanks to its high antioxidant content, Wild rice may reduce the cellular damage that contributes to diabetic complications like neuropathy and retinopathy. Its B vitamins help with energy production and nerve repair, while magnesium can boost insulin sensitivity by up to 10 to 15%, giving your body a better shot at maintaining stable blood sugar throughout the day. The best part? You don't need a lot. A diabetic-friendly portion is about 1/2 cup cooked, or around 4 ounces or 120 grams. Wild rice has a chewy texture and a nutty flavor that pairs beautifully with vegetables, lean protein, and healthy fats. Use it in grain bowls, soups, or stuffing, or mix it with sautéed mushrooms and herbs for a comforting side dish. You can even combine it with a bit of quinoa or brown rice for a fiber-packed blend that feels more like a meal than a side. That said, a few things to keep in mind. Wild rice is naturally gluten-free and generally well tolerated, but just like any grain, it still counts toward your carb intake. So portion control is key. Also, because of its tough outer shell, it takes longer to cook, about 45 minutes. So it's worth making a big batch and storing it for easy meal prep throughout the week. And here's a fun fact most people don't realize. Wild rice isn't just a healthier version of white rice. It's a completely different plant with a totally different nutrient profile. While white rice gets broken down quickly and causes blood sugar to spike, wild rice is digested slowly, offers more protein, and delivers antioxidants that white rice simply can't match. So if you're craving something hearty and wholesome, but still want to stay within your blood sugar goals, wild rice is more than just a smart swap. It's a powerhouse grain that belongs on every diabetic-friendly plate. And there you have it, grains that don't just fill you up, but actually fuel your fight against diabetes. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these grains are already in your kitchen, and which one are you most excited to try next? Drop your answer in the comments below. I read every single one. If this video gave you value, give it a like so YouTube knows this kind of content matters. Share it with someone who's been told to fear grains. They need to see this. And don't forget to subscribe for more real, science-backed tips to manage your blood sugar naturally. This is Diabetes Healthcare, where every bite counts and every video brings you one step closer to better health. Until next time, stay healthy, stay strong, and keep making food choices that work for you, not against you.